Whenever you're ready.
I'm done. I just thought I'd put my phone down. So it don't
Joyce,
fall out
are
of
you
my
going to
pocket.
start? Go ahead.
Welcome to Lifelong Learning at Roden Library. I'm librarian Joyce Ellison. Today we're visiting Amanda Van Landingham to learn more about aeroponic gardening. In Amanda's aeroponic garden, she grows broccoli, cabbage, fancy lettuce, even marigolds without dirt. Now, 5 years ago, this Nebraska native was stationed at Robins Air Force Base. Then she and her husband Chris bought a house they loved with land and a pond in Pulaski County. These days, Amanda is an Air Force veteran busy with a second career as a life and health coach. She's an advocate for using local, organically grown foods. Well, Amanda, your plants don't grow in the traditional horizontal way in the ground. Your plants grow vertically. So please tell us how you do that.
Sure, I'd love to do that. So first, I guess I should tell you, obviously she talked about there's no dirt, right? So the very first thing that people always ask is, how in the world do you grow without dirt? So I'm going to tell you. It is called aeroponic gardening, like she said. Now, the difference is why it's called aeroponic is because it uses water and air. So I'm going to take one of these pods out so you can see what I'm talking about. There really is no dirt involved. So these are the roots. The roots are just growing down inside of this tower right here. I'm going to put it back just so that I don't damage the roots. And we have two different ways that they can sit in there. So they can have these little white hooks that are my favorite, really. And they just hold this little thing right here. I can show you what it looks like. So it's called rock wool. And this is what the seeds, I grow mine from seeds in this tower right here. So I'm putting my seeds inside. I'm putting some little nutrient things on it to cover it since there's no dirt. And then I literally just set it in there and let it grow. Now the water, if you can see down here, is in this basin at the bottom. And so the water is taken up through this whole piece and it goes all the way up to the top, and then it sprinkles down into these little holes at the top, and then that's what waters all the roots. It does that every single hour. It does it for about 15 minutes every single hour. All day long, 24 hours a day. I don't have to do anything, which is my favorite part. So I have it all set up on a timer system, and so it just keeps doing that over and over. And then the only thing that I have to do is make sure that this water basin stays full, because there's obviously a pump in there, which is what pushes that water up, right? And so I have to make sure that the water stays full. Now, are you wondering at this point, well, how is it doing that then without dirt? Like, how is it becoming a seed and then turning into a plant? So there's a little secret. I have to put nutrients in the water, and that's what I have right here. So we have a mineral blend that has all kinds of different things in it. It has things like magnesium, sulfur, copper, zinc, all kinds of essential nutrients that, just like plants, that we need in our bodies. Then I have this mineral blend, which is mineral blend A. And it has things, more calcium, more iron. They just have a different level in each one. And so every time I add water in there, I'm adding nutrients in there to a certain, I have the measurements in my head on, for every gallon I add of water, how many nutrients I have to add of each one. Then it comes into science, which might be my favorite part. And I didn't even like science in high school, but I like it now. So what you do after you add the nutrients in the water is you have to test the pH level. Now, this little cheat sheet, which is my friend every week when I fill out my basins. And you can see there's all kinds of numbers and colors on here. So you have to learn what is the ideal pH level for plants to grow. That's where science comes in. So normal water, even rainwater when it falls, is at 7.0 for a pH level. Now, ideally for plants to grow, you want it to be between 5.8 and 6.3, which are these two green ones here at the bottom. So, all you do when you're testing to see what the pH level is you stick this little thing inside the basin to get some water with the nutrients. You're just putting a little bit of water, and then you're adding these little red drops that really aren't magic, but they help you determine the pH level. And you're dropping some drops in there, you're shaking it around, and then all you're doing is matching it to the color of the pH level. Now, if the pH level is too low or too high, I have some special nutrients, or pH level rather, that makes it go up or down. And so all I do is add a little bit of that at a time, and then I have to retest, because you don't want it to go super low, and you sure don't want it to go super high. So you want it to be right there in those two. So you just keep testing until you have it. And it really is that simple. So there's the science part. Then, after you're doing all that, then you're just letting it grow. And it literally, I planted these seeds. You can see the difference between this plant and these, right? So these I planted almost 2.5 weeks ago. So you can see how fast they grow. That's the thing with aeroponic gardening. The pump is turning on, so now you'll hear the water. It's really soothing, actually. And so the tower is, it grows really fast. That's another benefit to growing in an aeroponic garden. And so it grows faster, it's more nutrient dense, it doesn't require as much water, because like I said, it's all in this basin, right? And I'm going in and filling sometimes once a week, sometimes every other week. I'm putting water in. Now it's not using the whole thing, because this tank holds 20 gallons. But I'm just replenishing it. So that water is being recycled continuously. So it's reusing it. So it's not wasting anything. Now it's more nutrient dense because it's not using soil. And a lot of soil in the United States now is just from our farming practices in the United States in the last 50 years, we've depleted our soil. And so therefore, when food grown in the ground, it doesn't have the nutrient value that it did 50 years ago, right? And so when it's grown this way, it has more nutrients. And part of the reason is because of how I showed you at the beginning, the roots. The roots are exposed, and they're being watered continuously. So they're getting lots of oxygen and nitrogen. Science again. And so because of those roots are being exposed to that continuously, it can grow faster and have more nutrients. So all of these things are great reasons for aeroponic gardening. Now, as you can see, it doesn't really take up that much space, right? But I can plant things all the way around. So there's all kinds of different aeroponic systems. This is just the one that I use. But the concept is still the same. You can even make your own at home. Like there are DIY videos online that show you how to make an aeroponic gardening system. And you can just use like a Rubbermaid container. You have to get a pump, and then you can get some PVC pipe. And so there are cheap ways, and then there are more expensive ways to do aeroponic gardening, just like gardening in the ground, right? So you can just dig up some dirt, plant some stuff in the ground, or you could do something like raised beds or make a beautiful garden. So it's as much or as little money as you want to put into it. But it takes up less space for sure. It's transportable, which is another thing that I like about it. So I can move it around my property. And I even have one in my kitchen, actually. So it's on wheels, and it has a light system with it, so that I have a salad bar in my kitchen. But we're going to talk about the outside one for today. And so let's see, we talked about how it uses less water, it has more nutrients, it grows faster, about that. Some more lettuce. I have some herbs growing over here, so I have some cilantro and some thyme. And then on this tower over here, I have some celery, some onions, some collard greens, some kale. You see, I got quite the variety going on, right? And so all kinds of, your body needs all of this stuff all the time. And so, when I was talking about local organic, right? So did you know that your food, the average food that you're buying in the grocery store is traveling 1,200 miles? So your food is traveling 1,200 miles from where it was grown to the grocery store that you're buying it from. Now, I hope that if I asked you where you buy your food from, you would at least say a grocery store and not somewhere like a convenience store. Because that is a red sign to me saying you're not getting produce. So you're not getting things like greens. And your body needs it so very much. It's vital for your health in order to grow big and strong. So, or if you're older, to stay strong and healthy. So it's good in all aspects of life. We need it. Our body requires it. So the local part of it, right? So this is organic because there's no chemicals being used. No pesticides are being used on these at all. It's just nutrients I'm adding to the water. That's it. I do nothing else with it. Now, the local part is kind of a new, not really new, something I've been working on for a little while, but it's coming to Pulaski County actually in May. So I am growing more and more with the towers. I have 4 now. And I'm in the process of putting up a greenhouse on my property so that I can house 50 towers. Now with those 50 towers, I'll be growing the same things that I'm growing in here. Lots of greens, kale, spinach, all kinds of different lettuce, all the things that when we're going to the grocery store, they're not as fresh as we think they are because of how far they travel. Which brings me to another point actually. Did you know that the lettuce you're buying in the store is on average 2 to 3 weeks old already when you get it? So when you put it in your fridge and it only lasts for a couple of days when you open it and it starts going brown and it gets all mushy and yucky, well, it's because of how old it is already and it's breaking down. So when you're buying local, you know it's fresh. So you are buying, when I'm pulling this off and selling this stuff, it's within days, right? Sometimes even the day of. So it's much fresher. It lasts much longer. So I can take stuff off of my towers and I can put it in my refrigerator and it will last for 3 weeks. It doesn't get nasty at all. Now, have you ever put lettuce in your fridge and it lasted 3 weeks? No, you have not when you bought it from the store, right? Maybe if you're growing it in your own garden you have. I don't know. But so the local part, so like I said, I'm growing, my goal is to put up 50 towers. I'm working on doing that, as you can see from my shirt, right? Serving Forward. This is my nonprofit organization. And so with that organization, I am building the greenhouse, buying more towers, and then it will be available to area people, Pulaski County, for you to buy it. So then you're eating food that's local and organic. How much better can that be, right? But I tried to make it a little bit better even than that. So not only am I going to grow it here, then I'm going to facilitate a farmer's market on my property on the second Saturday of every month starting May 8th. So that's not that far away, right? Just a little over a month away. So I'm going to have it here at 64 First Avenue. Actually, that's not even correct. That's my address. But it will actually be off of 2nd Avenue where you access it. And so there will be local farmers in the area that are growing food organically, and they'll be here so you can come and buy things that I'm not growing. Because like I said, I'm only growing green stuff. And you need far more than green stuff on your daily diet to make you healthy. So instead of me trying to grow everything, I thought I would partner with other people. So then you're getting a good variety of food. So we've talked about local, we've talked about organic. I've told you how I'm farming, right? I'm not farming in the ground. I'm farming aeroponically. So a lot of you probably have heard of hydroponics. it's a form of hydroponics, is what aeroponic gardening is. So hydroponics means that the roots are in the water continuously, and they're usually horizontal. But aeroponics, the roots are not in water at all, ever. They're watered when it's coming down, but it's not in water continuously, ever, in its entire life. And so that's kind of the difference between hydroponics and aeroponics. It just gets the water when it's trickling down, it's being watered, but then that water is falling back down to the bottom. It's never settled in water ever. And so I hope that I've answered a whole bunch of questions and that you understand what aeroponic gardening is a little bit more. I would love for you to reach out to me if you have any questions and ask. I mean, I love teaching. I love all things health. And so, like I said, if you have any questions, I would just love for you to get in contact with me. And yeah. So, Miss Joyce, did you have anything else that you wanted to say?
Well, we just want to thank you for letting us come out and visit this afternoon to show us what an aeroponic garden looks like. And we'll be wishing you the best with your nonprofit and with your new Second Saturday Market venture. We have a new library book at Roden with a chapter on vertical gardening. So visit us for more information about that, and please join us again for another edition of Lifelong Learning at Roden Library. Thank you.
Okay.